Well, we're back with Dr. Rory. Yes, this is exciting times, Rory. Listen, one of my family members recently said, look, I've got a pain in my chest about here, right in the middle in the sternum. Now, we went, oh, God, you immediately think heart. It's going to be a heart attack. She's very young and quite well in herself. But we waited till the next day, and it turned out it probably was muscular because it went away.
Yeah.
But how best do we take the risk and rush off and upset yourselves?
It's a tricky one. It's a good question to ask because we see a lot of chest pain, and thankfully, obviously, not all of them are going to be serious. But I usually say to patients who come in with it, well, look, this is one of those things that you want to be clear on, and yeah, we'd far rather see people and say, look, everything seems good than have those who sit with it for days on end and then actually have something bad going on. So for us, it usually boils down to, well, not so much the symptoms themselves, that matters, but a big part of our decision on worry comes from the patient themselves and their background.
Well, another example is a very close person to me. I rang them up last night to ask them a favor to do something. They said, hey, I was rushed to hospital last night. And I go, oh, my God, what's wrong? Because this person's probably in their late 30s. And they said, I just couldn't breathe. And anxiety was taking me over. And it just got into panics and all sorts of things. Anyway, she was out of hospital by 2 a.m. and came home again.
Well,
but you guys must get that a lot, and it's very difficult for us who really don't understand, but worry like hell. I'm getting near the end. This is it.
So, like I said, we think about risk stratification, and for us, there are the cardiovascular risk factors. We separate those into your non-modifiable risk factors. So that's your age and family history. So generally speaking, higher risk if you're male aged 45 and above or female aged 55 and above. And then obviously if you've got a family history of cardiac illness. So generally first-line relatives, as your mom had a heart attack, as your dad had a heart attack or a stroke or something similar. And then we've got the modifiable ones. So these are the ones that you can do something about. So smoking is one of them. Hypertension is another one. High cholesterol is another one. Diabetes is another one. Alcohol use is on that list as well. And I think I'm missing one, but I'll probably think about it in a minute or two. And that gives you an idea, okay, good, it is a stronger possibility here. Then you go to your clinical presentation, and that's the nature of the pain. So usually there's a whole lot of questions to ask about that. Where are you feeling it? What happens with it? The risk of not wanting to talk too long and too hard about it, but
I think you've covered it off rather well. And also it's just, what does the average person do? So I think you've been very, very helpful.
Well, think about the risky ones. So the ones that they always tell you that your typical, like a heart attack pain, we speak about the feeling of impending doom. These guys look terrible. Crushing central pain. So it feels like somebody's actually sitting on your chest. You struggle to breathe. Often there's radiation up to the shoulder or the jaw. It'll often come on with nausea and diaphoresis, so sweating, that pallor, and they don't look good when you look at them. That's your classic heart attack. But on the other side of the scope, you've got ischemia and angina. So that's the pain you get when the heart just isn't getting enough oxygen. We haven't had any heart tissue die yet, but it's not quite there. And the tricky thing with this is it's not always going to be the same. I've once been caught out with a patient who came in with classic gastrointestinal symptoms, heartburn and a bit of nausea, and didn't think of it at the time. I was a very, very junior doctor at that stage. Then you get diabetics who have silent heart attacks, and they don't have typical signs either. So it can be kind of confusing. So for us, we look at history, the nature of the pain, and then clinical examination. And then obviously that usually includes an ECG. And often what we'll find is ECG changes to show that the heart is under strain or struggling with oxygen. But even then, you can have a fairly normal looking ECG with a heart attack and not notice those things. So if we are incredibly worried, the gold standard for diagnosing a heart attack or those issues is a blood test. And we look for a compound called troponin I, which is released into the bloodstream when the heart muscle dies. And that's basically, if that's going to happen, it happens at ED. So yeah, it's risk and examination, high risk and really concerned. And obviously, if it's a clear-cut heart attack, then it's lights and sirens, and they're off hopefully early to get the treatment that they need.
Hey, thanks, Dr. Uri. I think you've covered it off very, very well. And actually, you've answered a whole lot of questions of mine without even having to ask them. Hey, thanks, Rory. See you next week.